with another Torq Moto Wobs. We are piling them out. For you lot watching or hearing them, you're probably thinking not, but what we're doing at the minute, they seem to come every week at the minute.
We're bankrolling them at the moment, kid.
We're
getting them in, but we've got a busy season coming up. We need to get some, especially with the Arena Cross coming up. We got to go and... Are we doing that live thing at Arena Cross?
We are going to do that. So hopefully that will... You'll by the time you
let
watch...
the cat out of the bag then.
Whatever. We're not keeping secrets, Wobs. We're not like that. So when you're watching this, obviously it's pre-Christmas we're recording this, but it'll probably come out after Christmas. But, you know, Christmas parties, you had a bit of a set to the other day. You feel a bit delicate?
I'm all right now. I had a bit of a couple of days of feeling sorry for myself and thinking, I can't do this anymore.
It's a young man's game, drinking, Wobs.
Now I'm thinking, I quite fancy a beer.
But we've had some good stories, which will, over the course of these podcasts...
We'll leak a few out for you.
We absolutely will leak a few out. Again, massive shout out to Talon Engineering. I'm going to hand over to you again this because, again, you are the man. You know more technically. I'm just pumped that they're on board, but also that they're a British company. Go and check them out because they are working hard at bringing out new products, as we know. Wobs,
there's some lovely stuff. They're doing all kinds of real cool stuff. The new triple clamps are as good as anything on the market. They're lovely, lovely. I've just ordered today the wheels for the Mike Brown bike for VMXD and Foxhill. So we got those in the bank. I'm trying to get that ready for Telford. I want to get out of the bed because I cannot have another summer like last summer. That ain't cool. So they just spoke to Simon Talon today. He's good as gold. They make some cracking stuff.
Yeah. So without putting pressure on you lot watching, the more Talon products you go and buy, purchase, the more chance we've got of doing more of these. Just throwing that out there. And of course, we are going to be growing this thing. We keep saying it, but we are over the next year going into 24. I got no doubt by the time we reach this time next year, Wobs, we're going to have more.
I'd like to
on
think
board.
so. I'd like to think so. We've got plenty of people that are keen, but obviously budgets are tight at the moment. Things is not good out there. The economy's fucked. I don't know if that's a technical term.
I think they said that in Houses of Parliament the other day.
I think so.
Yeah, that's
stuff ain't. A lot of builders are struggling. A lot of people are struggling. So you got to be mindful of the current economic climate.
Well, we'll talk about that, no doubt, throughout the year with the guests that we get on, and we are teeing up a load of good guests. We are sending emails. We're reaching out. We're slowly starting to get some real big names sort of lined up for certain points throughout next season. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we've got Mark DeRuva wants to come back on. He hasn't said enough, apparently.
We'll be getting him on quite a few times.
Yeah, Mark wants to come on, and then we've got a couple of American guys coming on Zoom. We've got Ollie Stone. We need to just tie him down. He's a busy man. So Ollie's crew chief for the Troy Lee Gas team. Yeah,
so we're going to get some guests on, American guests, to take us through what's going on with AMA Supercross when we go through all that as well. So good stuff. This episode's guest, I'm going to let you introduce because it's a bit of a mechanics. This is where I feel I'm a little bit out of my depth now. I normally have like riders or industry, but I've got two mechanics sat either side of me. And my history with mechanics is pretty good. But it's all right. Mainly because my brother was my mechanic the whole time.
Okay, yeah, okay. So you didn't have too many.
I could just jib back at him.
Yes.
Because, my older brother, so I could just tell him to go and do one.
That's fair enough.
I'll let you introduce our guest on this podcast.
So our guest, Chris Churchill.
Evening.
How are you, kid?
Yeah, good. Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Commonly known as Winston in the trade.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So Chris was a motocross mechanic for many years. We'll touch base on what he did now. But what is cool now is Chris is pit crew for Alpine F1 Team. He's Ocon's front right.
Front right, yeah.
Front right wheel guy. I mean, he's right in the thick of it. And I've been to a few F1 things. Chris has showed me around the factory, and it's different league. Makes what we do look like lawnmower racing. It's fucking embarrassing. But it's cool.
It puts into perspective when you say he's is his front, what do you say, front right?
Front right, yeah. In the garage,
he's just his front tyre guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That puts it into...
I mean, this man's there in the 2-second pit stops, and it's like in the thick of it. And the travel schedule's insane. Like, you had 24 races?
Yeah,
like
24 races next year. It's 22 this year. It's pretty intense.
There's a lot of travelling.
We'll get onto that because, that's... interesting. I
really
can't wait
not
to get...
burnt out, kid?
Yeah.
We can enjoy the time off now anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing. Well, we'll touch base about, like we have discussed ourselves with how much time you are at work, but compared with how much time you're actually at home, it isn't too bad.
Yeah, it's okay, but it's intense when the season's on. So, it's ups and downs really.
And the jet lag and all
Never mind all this F1, like fancy, caviar and all that kind of stuff.
Anybody who's into anything mechanical, F1 is the pinnacle. And if you don't look up to it, there's something wrong with you.
Let's get to the real pinnacle, the sport of kings, motocross, not this F1 lark.
Sorry.
Come on then, Chris. So how did it all come about? What was your entry into motocross?
From starting racing myself, really, from an early age, right from sort of like 6 or 7, racing, and then come up through it. Through
How
the
did you get into
schoolboys.
it? Just that your dad got you into it?
Yeah, my dad got me into it. Yeah. We got a bike back in the early 80s now, a long time ago. Sort of like 10 years after you started, Jeffro.
Yeah, thanks for that. I knew because we were talking about it before we started. I knew he'd bring that up. We talked about it earlier.
But yeah, just went up through the schoolboys, and then unfortunately had to get a job. So got an apprenticeship in mechanical engineering and stuff. So which helped me through, doing stuff on my own bikes, and then from there went to helping a couple of lads doing British Championships and worked my way through that as you did back in those days.
So was your dad much of a mechanic? Did he teach you much?
Well, yeah, he was all right, but I had to do most of it myself. So
That's how you learn, though, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you learn by your mistakes sometimes. Don't you?
Fuck it, I made enough of that.
He's still doing it now.
I should be the best. I should be the best in the world if you learn by your mistakes.
But yeah, so doing that really, and then came through, did a bit of schoolboy stuff, and then just helped a couple of lads in local British Championships, and from there gained experience to go on to bigger and better things.
So what age did you actually swing your leg over a bike and start them?
I started when I was about 8.
Yeah, same as me. Yeah.
And what was back in the 80s?
Yeah,
back then days. Yeah.
First bike?
First bike was an RM80. Yeah, 1983.
Nice.
Yeah, always remember it now. Riding around the field on Christmas Day after I got it.
Nice.
That was a Christmas gift.
Yeah,
I had an
Christmas
RM80
present.
for a Christmas gift as well. Yeah.
I never did have to buy my own bikes.
Oh, get out the violins now.
Unfortunately, my father was a very mean man.
But look how it's set you up, Wobbs.
I've got a few now, though.
Yeah, you have.
Just a couple.
I got a couple now.
So you knocked the riding on the head relatively early.
Yeah,
Was that just due to, was you losing interest, or your parents just said, what was
I
the
had
reason
to-
for stopping?
I had to sort of buy my own stuff.
That harsh,
Reality.
that harsh reality of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But-
all of a sudden, I
yeah,
needed
and-
higher.
And when you were on an apprenticeship back in those days, it wasn't wasn't very fruitful. So
No, and also, you discover going out and girls.
Yeah,
and cars, and your money
Exactly.
gets diluted pretty quick, doesn't it? So
yeah, and it didn't become as much fun then.
no.
So having to pay for it all yourself.
Yeah.
But so just helped a lad out locally, and we went and did British Championships.
That wasn't your plan then. That you didn't look up at that point and go, right, I want to be a motocross mechanic. It was more of a case of just any opportunity within the industry.
Yeah, so I always used to go and watch all the big races and stuff, the Grand Prix, always the Hawkstone, Farley. Always used to hang around, Thorpe's tent. It was,
I wonder if somebody took a screenshot of the back of Thorpe's truck in any one of those
Yeah,
races. I wonder how many of us would be stood there peering through the gaps,
I know,
watching Keith with the white gloves on.
Exactly, yeah.
Because there'd be me, you, Nick Moores, there'd be loads of us.
That's a
all
great
stood there.
point. That is actually. I know we can't do that. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but
And we wouldn't know each
if
other,
you had
but
social
now-
media then, and people were taking those type of pictures rather than concentrating on riders on the track, because they did, because it was like Blissy would say, it was film then. You had to have film developed. You couldn't just go shooting stuff willy nilly. I'd love to look at pictures from in and around the paddock of the 80s and see how many faces you would have seen in the Thorpe era.
Some of the ones I look at on some of the old Thorpe stuff, still looking at people looking in the awning. And,
it was us. It was all us. And, I'm sure, if there's 10 people stood there, about 5 of them now in the industry.
Yeah. And
doing
that's,
what we do.
and that's, I've become, hooked on that side of it. Went to Namur first time, I think, 86, something like that. And that really got me into the sort of mechanical side.
How can you
of it.
not? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, like for me, I was never good enough as a rider, so the next best thing, isn't it? Is being involved. If you can't ride the bike that fast, then you may as well build one.
Exactly, and being close to them, being close on track and stuff like that was good.
It was cool.
So that where I got sort of the passion for that side of things, really.
So you said you picked up an apprenticeship. Was that in just a local motorcycle shop?
Just that was actually just in cars and stuff.
Oh, not even bikes?
Not even bikes. No,
Right.
No, there was nothing really in the area for me to be able to do it. So that was the next best thing. You know, mechanics is what I'd like doing. So did a 4-year apprenticeship through that. And yeah, still dabbled in a bit of racing myself. You know, always did do up till like 2 or 3 years ago. I'd always do at least a race a year. You know, keep the hand in, so to speak. I know. It's hard work now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything worse.
I know. The day after, well, not even the day after, the night after.
Plus, I just had a weekend walking around London. I'm ruined. No, I am. I'm glad I sat down.
I've still got a hangover from 4 days ago.
Yeah. Mad. So that was the route in then. So who was the first? Bob's just going to ask that question. Who was the first rider, and how did it come about? Did you go and did you like walk around the pits going, "Hi, I'm a mechanic. Hi, me," or was it one of those chance conversations?
It was actually the first rider I worked with was Jon Pettit.
Johnny, of course it was.
Yeah. So that was back in late. What was that? Mid-90s, I suppose. Yeah. Ford and Ellis Yamaha. Just did British Championships and then went on to do Europeans. Yeah. So we did the odd 1 or 2 Europeans with the likes of like Ron Carter and Jorgensen and them kind of people.
Cool.
Which was cool.
What was John? Let's just get on. I know we're going to talk about some of the other riders that you work with, but always had a lot of time for John. He was, and still is, no doubt. Like he says, he speaks his mind.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely does. You know, and he's such an aggressive little sod when he was riding.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, you can argue like family connections and stuff like that, but what was it? What was it like with him? You know, like did he know you prior to that? Was you have a time to get to know each other?
Yeah, because
he wasn't coming in cold.
No, exactly. We raced together right the way through from the 85s.
Yeah.
You know, went through the schoolboys together really. So and then went from there, and then we're doing British Championship stuff as well. So yeah, we just picked up on that. Yeah, which was quite good. But
so who else did you work with then? I remember you worked with the Banks.
Yeah,
with Hamblin, I remember that.
My first chance of doing Grand Prix came with Ryan Vose.
Okay.
Back with Skymask KTM with Ryan and Kurt Nickel, which that ended sort of prematurely because Ryan had a lung.
He had a lung infection, didn't he? He had to have a major operation.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So that sort of ended quite quickly. That was beginning of '97. Then sort of latter part of '97, Dave Thorpe actually gave me a call to work with Nunny for the last part of the season with Keith. So that was good. So that was where I sort of like picked up loads of handy little tips off Keith.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Did that, and then from then went on with Suzuki with Jeff.
With us lot.
Yeah, hey. back in the '98.
Yeah, 98, in the tail end of 98, 99, wasn't it? Yeah,
99 with Animal Suzuki with James Payton and Jeff.
Yeah.
It was quite a successful season, really. It was quite good.
We had a great year.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, Yeah,
it was good crossover with the mountain bike thing.
It was really cool, and
that was the first real big thing in the British scene, really, wasn't it? That was different.
It was so different. We were saying, we were supported by PlayStation, so we had game consoles there, didn't we? So you probably felt left out. People weren't coming around the truck to then look at him work on the bikes. They were too busy queuing up to get on the PlayStation. Console. Yeah, yeah, that was good. That was good years.
Yeah, took a couple of years out after that. Came back 2000, 2001. Started help with Craig Prattley. We was doing a few bits and pieces with him, doing bikes for Tim Chambers.
Okay.
And then Tim said, was I interested in working with Huck for 2003? After he come off the Voi, went on to the KTM and jumped at the chance of that.
Yeah.
It was mega. Probably one of the best years I had in motocross, really, was that year working with Huck.
Okay.
It was good. Had a workshop from home, had the truck and everything there. Was doing everything, practice bikes. Back in them days, we had to do the whole lot. So you were doing engine suspensions, driving the truck, sorting out all the ferries. Tim was really, really good. He let us, have the reins with it and did what we wanted, really. So that was really,
he would
really
strike me as a good bloke to work for.
Yeah, Tim was mega. Yeah, really, really good.
Well, particularly, if you see him in the beer tent.
He's legendary in the beer tent.
He's legendary in the beer tent.
He's pretty good in the beer tent.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Actually.
I don't want to pull you out, Tim, if you are watching this, or whatever. But I saw him at your event at the VMX.
Foxhill, yeah.
Was it this year or the year before? Could have been. No, it was this year.
You was there this year.
I honestly, like, for 5 minutes, I had a conversation with him, and I don't think I could actually make out one word. He was, and for Tim to be like, he was gone. I was like, I can't even understand what you're saying, because he has a good time.
Oh yeah, he likes to have a good time. Yeah,
he wants to go to an event and enjoy it.
Good for him.
Yeah.
No, he did back then. It was good. We had a good little crew there, really. You just go down to Hucks once a week, practicing when we were around, and then doing the Grand Prix and stuff. So it was really, really good.
Before you dive in with a technical question, because I know you go into it at some point, I just want to very quickly rewind to what you said about when Dave called and you got the job to work with Keith. What was that like when you hung up the phone? I mean, going on what we just said a minute ago. So you was at the GP staring in, watching Keith work. You know, most successful
it's one of your idols, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You grew up through my racing career watching Dave.
Yeah. Oh, he's legend.
So did you have you must have had something sweep over you when the phone call, and then you're like,
I had the call at one point. I can't remember what year it was, to work with Carl, and I was in the bath, and we was like,
get him having a phone ready in the bath.
It was funny.
Just lying in the bath waiting.
That's what I'm saying. The phone rang in the lounge, and it was like three. I owned the house and I rented out 2 rooms to my mates, and the phone rang, and then like, what phone? Oh, I'll ring him back. Who is it? Dave Thorpe. I'm like, fuck off. And apparently it was him, yeah. So that made me.
And it was?
It was, yeah.
Did you? Obviously, you called him back.
I did call him back, but it didn't work out.
But yeah, that for me, that was like, the icing on the cake, really, to do that. And I remember going down to see him and having a bit of an interview with him down at his place. And it was really, really good.
Because Keith I've spent time working with Keith as well when we did the RTT Honda team back in 2004, and when Nunny and Dugan and that got, and obviously Keith was Dugan's mechanic, and we went to California and spent 3 weeks in California, so I got to hang out with Keith quite a lot there, and fascinating bloke. Just you can see, obviously what he brought to I know he's DT's dad, but beyond that, just the sort of methodical side of it, and just the calming influence.
Yeah.
Nothing's a drama.
No, just got on and got it done.
Yeah.
And there was dramas. Like, there was a new team. We were in California. Stuff hadn't turned up. It was all like people were flapping a bit, but no.
Keith was just doing his thing.
Yeah.
Probably still does to this day.
Absolutely. And that really, I remember just, sometimes me and Keith it's almost like a romantic date. We just sort of stayed behind. They all left the restaurant, and we just stayed chewing the fat, talking about DT's career and the influence it had on him as well, not just, what he had on Dave. So I'd again imagine in that 1 year or 2 years, you would have not only learned a load about being like the technical side of it, but also how to conduct yourself in stressful environments.
Present everything. Keith was so clean and particular about everything. But as long as he had his cup of tea, he was all right.
It is tea's the calming influence. Like, you can't go to war without a cup of tea, can you? Like on Lockstock, innit, or something like that. Yeah. Fair play.
But that was a legend. It was good days.
Yeah.
But back to Huck. It was, like I say, that was I think probably the best, most enjoyable year I've had as a mechanic in the motocross industry.
Well, Huck always made the effort. Not that I'm not dissing anybody, but he was always like a balls out. He never left anything on the track.
No, exactly. Yeah.
You come away with the best result you were going to get.
Yeah.
Whether it was win, lose, or draw,
I think we
come away with
we
the
led
best result
in the British Championship. We led more laps than anybody else, and never actually won an overall round.
No.
Yeah. It was only to the last round, I think it was, that we actually got a podium all year.
Really?
Yeah. But he pushed on. No, it was
Where
good.
was that? That wasn't Cullen, was it? No. That was the year he was number 5.
No, that was the year after.
That was the year after.
Yeah.
Got you, yeah.
That was Pontrillis, I believe, last round.
Right.
Yes.
I remember it all. God, I've forgotten more than I remember.
Had a podium there.
Yeah.
So it was always 1 point off, or just off the box every time.
I get what you're saying. I can see that regards of a fun year, because you had like Tim at the helm.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have dumped a load of pressure on it. I wouldn't have thought. And of course, like I said, Mark was just Mark, just such a likable bloke, but in and around the pits and whatever, a bit dry and a degree of sarcasm and all that. But when the lid went on,
he'd give 110%.
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. But always in such a a fair way. Like you kind of had that as a rider. I was on the way out when he was on the rise, as it were, and so I crossed over a little bit. And he always raced you really, really hard, Like, and sort of like give you a little nudge away, but you never at once felt like here's a bloke that's going to do like a Vince Freezy on you, Like he's not.
No, I didn't do that.
Is that a
very
thing now?
often.
Is that what you call it?
I don't know, but it probably is, isn't it? I mean, after the Supercross,
Looked pretty hectic.
But you had that mutual respect, and I think that's why, obviously, what happened, and and his life has had the influence on British motocross fraternity as much as it has.
Yeah, exactly.
It was who he was, not just what he achieved on the track.
That was genuine. Yeah.
He must have been a joy to work with.
Oh, it was me. Yeah, we went to the first round in Spain, and I think we had a 6th or 7th there. Tim come down with us. We all drove down in the truck. A couple of his mates came as well, and to come away from there, that back in them days was only one race.
10. No, exactly.
Yeah, there was only one race per weekend.
Oh yeah.
We come away from there like 6th or 7th in the championship, and it was like
That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, and we had some really good results. I remember he was battling with Smets in Valkenswaard for like 3rd place, I think it was, with about 4 or 5 laps to go, and the Stater went, and he had that in the bag, and it was gutting, but yeah, we had a really, really good year. His best ever year, I think, of when he was doing Grand Prix, which was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we switched to doing both classes halfway through the year as well. So that put even more pressure on me as well.
I was just going to say, that's probably
Yeah,
worse
that's a lot
for
of
you.
work.
Yeah, exactly. Practicing on a 450 and a 540 in the week and racing them as well.
540 KTM.
Yeah, that was
like it's not faster. Like it's not faster.
But no, it was
Mind
good.
you,
And Tim loved it.
I bet a 350 now is just as fast as that, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah,
That's what you got to think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're so
For me,
good now.
they're all, but that could be another podcast. But
They're all too fast.
they're all
They're all
just
too
stupidly
fast.
fast.
Yeah.
And I'm not siding out any one manufacturer. I just think the need for a 450 is just.
We've just had the Kawasaki, the new Kawasaki 450 in to measure for Thai, and I'm like, why do the manufacturers push on with the 450 like it's the premier bike? Nobody can ride the things.
No normal person can ride one, can they?
No, and even top guys, they're not doing nothing to the motor.
No.
So what? You can go Grand Prix racing on a stock engine, but
Yeah.
with a pipe on electrics,
Scary, really, isn't it?
they're so fast.
They are so fast.
And I don't know obviously I spent my time in California and the tracks were a lot bigger, but in England there ain't no way you can ride that thing properly.
Put that into a small degree of perspective. The last bike test that I went on, new bike test, was the KTM, which was not the 23 model, I think. Obviously not the 24 at Cusses. It could have been the 22. Either way, I got on. So I started. They brought all the bikes, and you could just book a slot. So I went out on the 450 first. Cusses. Yeah, I thought I'd get that.
Right.
I'd get that out of the
Very
way.
smart.
And I got like 5 minutes, sort of got into it, warmed up a little bit. And I can just remember seeing the track markers going by out the corner of my eye and just thinking, that's insane. Like, I didn't feel like I was going quick. No. And obviously I'd like to think that being an ex-racer of a high level, you've got all that experience. And I'm just riding it thinking, why have we got to the stage where the bikes are so quick?
Yeah.
And I'm not pulling out I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, all manufacturers' bikes.
Yeah, no, they're all good.
The 350 is more than what any rider
exactly.
in
250F's more than enough
clubman
now,
rider.
really.
Absolutely.
Enjoyable anyway, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we enjoy as a sport wringing its neck and hanging off the back, and that's why I like a two-stroke, because it feels like you're doing 1,000 miles an hour because the thing's making all the noise and it's stepping out and you're on the clutch and it feels like you're going fast.
Yes,
and that's what we do it for.
Yeah.
I know a
125 is
four-stroke
good enough for me.
I know a four-stroke is efficient, but if efficiency is what we wanted, we'll be driving fucking Honda Civics, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
it's
a
no
scary
fun
thing.
in that, is it?
That is not the fun side of it. It's also the 450.
Where's the fun in shutting it off?
That's
That's what
exactly.
you're doing on a
Yeah.
450. You just open the throttle, shitting yourself.
Yeah, 450s. They're just so deceptively fast.
And the
That's my
manufacturers
opinion,
keep
anyway.
pushing it as like the first, like the premium, like the Kawasaki always does theirs first. The 250s is always a year later, like it's a second-rate thing. And people can't ride 450s. I mean, we sell second-hand bikes. Fuck, I can't give 450s away. Nobody wants them.
No, the a general guy, it's hard work.
They're no fun to ride, are they?
No.
Where's the fun in that? Just
Exactly.
hanging off the thing like a piece of washing, shutting her off all the time because it's just too fast.
Missing every rut. It's no good.
Fuck that. Yeah, it's just.
So if you want a 450 sold, come and see us. We'll
Yeah,
give you a
we'll
real
sell you one of
positive
those.
sales pitch
We've got a few in stock. They're great.
to get rid of it. Yeah. No,
I think a KTM 150 or something mega, aren't they?
They are.
Or Yamaha, like a good.
yeah, the 150 is a hell of a bike. Hell of a bike.
A well set up 252 stroke or
Yeah.
254 strokes are nice enough, I suppose. I mean, they're, you can ride them anyway. You can wring the neck and have a bit of a go, can't you?
Yeah, I'd just have a 125 myself. Sounds bad, doesn't it?
It does sound better. And
Well-
none of us are doing it for a living. No, I don't do it at all. But just go and have a bit of fun. And if it means it's going to be wheeling and the back.
I suppose if you want to be
competitive,
competitive, and so, obviously some people do, well, that's the idea of racing. I've got to say, at this point, that's why I've reverted back to a 125. I raced the Huck Cup last year. We're talking to Mark on a 250F, and it wasn't set up or whatever. It was
you didn't
good.
look good. You didn't look good there.
You were racing it or riding around?
I got a third.
You got on the podium. You didn't look very well.
But I didn't. You didn't see me 2 days after. Not even the next day after. The day after. The 2 days after that was horrendous. So I've got myself a 125 now, Chris, just because I thought at least that way I can. Cheers, Wobbs. I can have fun.
Yeah.
But if I haven't got that,
It's not trying to get
I've got
away
an
from you all the
excuse.
time.
Actually, that was the real reason. If I race a 125 now, so yeah, well, I was on a 125.
Exactly. That's why you beat me. So anyway, let's get back to Chris's. Back to Chris's career. So then, that was Nunny. What year would that have been? 2000-ish.
2000. That was 2003.
Oh,
Yeah. 2003, 2004.
okay. So that must have brought you up to the Swift Suzuki thing.
So RWJ after that.
RWJ.
Yeah. With
Knocking out some teams, isn't he? I
I
forget how many
fucking
teams.
name dropping. I should have bought me Steel Toe cap.
so that was with Brownie
Nice.
for a few races.
Okay.
Yeah, we managed to get a few out of him before he.
Oh, that was the
decided-
year he got up and left. He left, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I took the
No,
bike
see,
down
I
to the
can't
start.
remember. Oh, and he
at,
wasn't there. He went
at
home.
Ling. Yeah, and he went home.
That's
Yeah,
it.
he never turned up to the start. I was
Yeah.
in there, sort of like waiting
really?
for him, and
And he
gone.
went home.
He
Did
went,
he went back
home,
to
home.
America,
Yeah,
didn't
that's
he?
it. Yeah, that was it
I
done.
remember that now because that was all proper
He
talk.
hadn't changed much.
That was all proper talk in the paddock at the time. It's like, well, what happened there then?
Yeah,
He's gone.
just
What do you mean gone? Well, he's
to-
gone.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah, we had it at Fox Hills. They screwed up he had a bad practice on the 125, blew up. And he went out in our practice, the VMXCN class, and the timing got screwed up. They only recorded the middle 2 laps. So he went out and did a fast lap, stopped, adjusted suspension or something, slow lap, fast last lap, and he was like 38th on the grid. He came back, I'm done. He was getting changed. He was going home, bless him. And you think, fucking hell. So I mushed over, got the times, not changed, but I said, I need the times for all four laps. So then he was 6th and he stayed, but he just wasn't on it all weekend. But
Yeah,
it is what it
was
is.
hard then. That 250 back then wasn't the best bike, but we did what we could with it, and Mike just wrung the neck out of it.
Oh, he will.
I remember it coming back I pushed it back from one race in Canada Heights, and the rod was led on top of the gearbox.
Yeah.
So
He will.
underneath the
Yeah.
carb. Yeah.
I'll tell you a little story about Brownie. I'll tell you 2 stories, but the one I can't. I'll tell you when the camera stopped rolling. That was at Boom Tioga. But we were at Hangtown for the Nationals. I was his goggle guy, and he was on Yamaha Troy on a 250F. And he was okay at Supercross, but outdoors he was having some breakages. And he had a French mechanic, I can't remember his name, and he was talking to him, and I could hear him saying, you've got to hook the gears. And that. And he turned to me, and I'm like, just rev the piss out of it, kid. And the camera was there, and it was on TV.
Was it?
Yeah, probably not the most professional I've ever been.
He could rev it though.
Sounds nice, though.
He can rev them. He can ride a bike, mate.
Oh yeah, he is good. Yeah, really. Yeah, and he went back to the States and
Yeah, he did, yeah.
outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Remind me to tell you the Boom Tioga story. when
Yeah,
we
please
finish.
do.
It's
I'm
very
intrigued
good.
now. I'm sure everybody else watching is, but fortunately we won't be able to put it out there.
No.
So Brownie, then so we're still not done
that was
because
05.
we got Formula One to talk about yet.
Yeah, we got
that was 05. So we ended up doing some engines then for Sean Simpson. So he was doing Grand Prix. So so we just did the engines for him for the rest of the season, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we had Eggins and Eric Eggins and James on the 450. And then I went with James in the year after in 06.
Yeah.
And then RWJ finished Colin wrapped it all up then.
Colin comes to our race. Comes
Yeah?
to Foxhill. Loves it. Absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
We send him tickets.
Oh,
we send him
loved
tickets
it,
every year, and he came up to me this year, and he's like, he absolutely loves coming. He just enjoys speaking to all the people he knows, and just likes being at the races again. It's the only one. Nobody's seen him for years and years, and he just looks the same. Bless him. He's aged really well. Well, he must have looked really fucking old 20 years ago. Because to me, he looks the same age. He's doing well.
But he did it properly as well, didn't he?
Staff that didn't stress him out.
Credit to him. He spent his own money and he was not scared. And
Yeah.
he didn't. He was great. You know, I never worked for the guy, but I was always involved in and around. And I didn't see him do anything dickish in the time he was there.
No, exactly. And then at the end of 06, he wrapped it up. Then Colin did. He'd sort of like he'd finished with it, and that was when Mark Banks.
Yes,
got the idea with the Swift Suzuki
team. Yeah.
So there was myself, Ian Brown, and we were there right from the beginning of that, sort of like getting the truck ready, and with Jonathan Wright.
Oh, Jonathan Wright built the truck.
Yeah,
didn't he?
he built the truck. Yeah,
lovely that was. He was very proud of that. So he should be. It was lovely.
Did a nice job of it.
Really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and they went all in.
Bankses don't fuck about. They don't fuck about.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
So we can all remember that. Yeah, that was all in.
Yeah, and we had there was Elliot. Jake and
Hamblin. Was it
Sean Hamblin?
Sean Hamblin, yeah.
Yeah. So Sean came. I think you brought Sean over.
Yeah.
To Chippenham, I think, wasn't
it? Yeah. I remember that. Sean's a good kid. Sean's
good. I still speak to Sean now.
Yes, what's he doing these days? Yeah, what is he doing?
He's
quite political now, isn't he?
He's working in Florida.
You have to be careful. I don't know if we'd want him on a podcast.
No.
All right, I might have to check that out.
He's quite political, bless him.
He is, yeah. So
he has his opinions.
Definitely.
He's a good kid, though.
He was good. So, so we sort of like went through all the setting up of that.
Yeah.
With Mark
it's a lot of work to set a team up, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a hell of a lot of work, yeah. But they did it proper. I think that was the sort of turning point of how it was in the paddock, like from now.
Yeah, they're very professional.
Yeah. You know, we had the big awning, we had the
and the
cars.
Hospitality. I mean, used to go there for some lunch and it was all like a big ham and all laid out like a wedding, man. It was lovely.
You know, we had 3 or 4 cars in the awning.
Yeah, they kind of brought
range.
what was happening at GPs at the time to the British paddock a bit more, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because some of the GP teams were getting to, Grant Ian Everett's team, they were the first ones to have the big rigs.
Banks were good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so we did that. It was...
and then you went car racing then?
Yeah, so after that, I sort of halfway through 08, I'd sort of like, I was working with Brad Anderson and I'd sort of
still name dropping, isn't he?
Had enough of it really by then.
He's entitled to. That's why we got him on, because he's got a lot to say.
Been around.
Yeah, not through working with Brad. That was a good laugh. And another one that like.
He tried. Yeah, exactly. You're never gonna, like I say, you never go home thinking, nah, we could have. No.
No, exactly. But I'd always set my heart on trying to get into F1.
Oh, okay.
So.
I remember bumping into you at an airport somewhere, and you were working with some car race thing.
So I went to do Formula 3.
Yeah,
based at Silverstone. So I did that for a couple of years, and then from there, then I got a call from somebody wanting there was a job come up at Manor F1.
Okay.
End of what was that, back in 2016? So.
Manor F1, never heard of them.
Yeah, so they were what was Virgin. They started off as Virgin Racing, and then Marussia.
But you say you got a call. So how does you always wanted to be in F1?
So yeah,
what is that? You keep
banging out the CVs. Every opportunity.
Oh, so you
were
actually like legitimately applying. It wasn't just like a mate that you knew.
No, exactly.
But
I don't know if F1 goes down that road. No. I think they're a bit too official.
That's what I mean.
I don't think it's friends of friends. I think you have to really.
It's there was times of putting all the CVs in, and it's.
I was just trying to get.
It's really, really hard to get into, because of how it is.
There's so many people on. You think the amount of people they employ, it can't be that hard. But like I say, nobody's leaving.
No, nobody is leaving.
And with the cost cap, that screwed a lot of it up, hasn't it?
Yeah. There's a few more now with more and more races. It's getting harder and harder because obviously you're away a lot.
Some of the teams now, they're saying not all the same pit crew are going to go to every race.
They're talking about it, I think,
splitting you rotate. Like you know.
Yeah. So from there, so I started off at Manor. That was about halfway through the season.
What was the job though?
So the job was engine kitting. So basically, there's within the team, there's so many different roles. You've got engineers,
Say.
data guys. You've got all the composite side, all the carbon stuff, mechanics on the car, gearbox guys, front end guys, number ones, number twos. So yeah, there's quite a structure to it. So I went there as kitting the engines, and then you work on the car as well when the car's running on track. So I went there as that. Finished off that season. Esteban came there, did his first race with us, which was quite cool. So I've sort of like been through his whole career, really.
Excellent.
Yeah. And then at the end of the year, we were sort of like tying with like two other teams for sort of like 8th in the championship, and then we lost out to the two other teams, and then the guy that was running it was like, without the income that is generated from TV rights, stuff like that, then they ended up finishing at the end of the year. So we were like, what are we going to do? And we hung on because they were trying to get something together. And then there was a couple of jobs come up at what was Renault before it's Alpine. Yeah. So I went there with my CV again and managed to get an interview. And then from there, I took the same position as I was doing in Manor, engines, kitting the engines with all the radiators, pipe work, that sort of stuff. And yes, just snowballed from there, really. Still in the same sort of position.
Yeah.
It's a good
and how many guys go to the races? Like
in total, there's, with all the market and everything else, we're looking at sort of anywhere between 75 and 100 per event, per race.
It's insane, kid.
So depending on where we are.
So how did you always wanted to get into F1? But then, so how does that compare? We know obviously the level of professionalism is right up there, it's completely different. But you've gone from working building a relationship with the athlete, the rider, very personal, one-to-one.
Yeah, it is.
How did you adapt to that? Did that feel a bit odd that all of a sudden, like, you're working with 70 other people that are all effectively working with that?
Yeah, it's a completely different thing.
But that came into motocross as well.
Yeah,
with the introduction of the semi trucks in America, so the box vans ended in like late 90s into the semis, and then all of a sudden it's less one-on-one. There's engine guy, there's suspension guy, there's trainer, there's man friend, there's goggle guy, there's gear guy, there's manager, and all of a sudden the rider's hardly speaking to the mechanic, and there's 3 or 4 people working on the bike, and it's just that went.
Yeah,
that
one-on-one. It's a lot different now.
That me and you versus the world mentality.
Yeah,
that we used to have.
Yeah, and that was good. Going there, with the rider. Sometimes you travel in the truck together.
Yeah, you do anything for them. You do anything.
You would.
So did you miss that, or did you feel a little bit like you didn't have that kind of engagement with the
it's completely different
to a degree.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because
did you find that difficult then?
It took a little bit of
Probably
adjusting
not
to
the pay packet.
Well, yeah, that's a different story, but
but yeah,
it takes a little while to get sort of like to adjust to that, because
it's a team. It's a team as in
it's
now
a full team.
Before you'd be on teams, not really a team, are they? You'd be on the same bike, but you no fucking team spirit.
No,
I never had any.
No, exactly.
It was always like, well, if there's one ignition, I'm having it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It was, I'd do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was, like watching you guys at work. You work on a certain bit of it, and that's what you concentrate on.
Yeah, exactly. We
have
our own parts,
and you've got somebody in your ear.
Yeah.
Watching you.
Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time.
Every person in the garage just got their own job role to do, and it all just comes together, which is quite good. It's quite satisfying when you have a shunt and the car comes back in 100 pieces, and an hour or so later you've got it back together and you've got it back out the garage.
Yeah, you were just saying this. You're saying earlier on about the crash, but in
Vegas.
In Vegas, where he went over manhole cover, did like $1.5 million worth of damage running over a manhole cover, and they had to rebuild the car.
That's a little bit more extreme than getting a puncher.
The numbers,
on your BMX going
the numbers are off the scale.
Mental, isn't it?
It's all a business. At the end of the day, the TV rights, a lot of people are watching it. Thanks to Drive to Survive,
Yeah, exactly. It's done a big.
Well, you think
big,
there's
big
400,000 people at most races.
Exactly.
And everything's expensive.
Yeah.
You know, like we looked at tickets to go to Monza. It's like €1,700 for one ticket for the weekend. And it's like caps, 90 quid. You're like, everything's expensive. And so the money in it, and people get that paddock club, 6 bags to go and stand there and have a glass of champagne and look over the top of a wall. $6,000.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I can see where you wanted to be in F1.
And it's full of people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's full of people.
That's why Rob comes now.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I'm just trying to leech off other people.
Yeah, that's why you got
No, I
in.
love it. I love it because it's like, it's aspirational for me.
So are you actually, are you trying to put a pitch in for a job here or what?
No, I'm too old. That's what we were saying about, but I'd like to touch on, you know, you're a middle-aged guy, same as all of us. You got a young family. And how does that work? Because I mean, like you're away a lot, kids.
Yeah,
it's a young man's sport.
difficult. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It is difficult. You know, we start traveling middle of February. You know, and we're traveling right the way through till sort of middle of December. So, yeah, it's
insane travel, isn't it? It's proper jet lag, proper tired.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just like flying to France or
exactly.
going to Belgium.
And like, for example, I don't know if people know, but as soon as the race is over, these guys are working till like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, taking it all apart. I mean, that's a long day.
Yeah, we're normally at the end of the race, we're looking at sort of another 7 hours before we're out of there, before it's all packed up.
Have you ever, with that in mind, have you ever had like one of those moments where you've kind of woken up one morning or whatever and you're kind of like gone, sorry, where am I going next? Where am I?
You do.
I'm sure we do that a lot.
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
out.
Well, every hotel room looks the same. And you're thinking, fucking hell, where am I?
Yeah, it's just one hotel after another.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially the latter part of the year where you do, you go Singapore, Japan, then you're across to America, Mexico, Brazil. Then you're back home for 2 or 3 days, back over to America.
Your body
again.
clock must be.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of adjusting. It's surprising how when we had COVID and we didn't do so many long haul flights, you sort of like went back into into reality. But like before that, and then it was you sort of like get used to it. You just when you just go to sleep and I'm quite lucky. I'll get on a plane and go to sleep for sort of like 5 or 6 hours and not bother me. But
like you were saying, on that, obviously that damage you had in Vegas and the way that it was delayed fixing the track and everything. You said, practice 2:30 in the morning?
Yeah, we started practicing. I think it was going 2:30 in the morning.
Till 4?
Yeah, till 4, and then another 3 hours after that.
So you're working all night.
Stuff.
You don't get paid any extra. There's no time and a half.
So, yeah.
It's like to get up in the morning and go to work and still have to be there the next morning. That's a 24-hour shift. It's a hell of a thing to pull. And concentrate and not make any mistakes.
Exactly, and that's, but then that's what we get paid to do, so we have to do it.
Yeah. It's intense.
Yeah, nobody's holding a gun to your head for you to go and do it.
No,
so
exactly.
It's where you wanted to be. So it's one of the things of the job, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah.
Pressure then, what's that? Let's talk about I'd like to understand the pressures of it, because when you've got a rider, you're working one-to-one with a motocross rider. I'd hate to be a mechanic, by the way. Honestly, I think you two are mental.
It has its moment.
No, honestly,
it has its moments.
It has its moment. The satisfaction of doing it, but also, I don't know how you've ever. I don't think I could ever get my head around the fact that if I've done something wrong or I haven't done something up, that might.
Well, I've always said
that might cause injury to the rider,
mechanic,
and I struggle with that. I don't think I could do it. So the pressure of working one-to-one with a motocross rider and having that pressure of knowing you've got to check every nut and bolt, and they work hard as you do, and you want to get a championship over the line, and you can make one mistake that costs it. What's it like in your job at Formula One? What I mean by that is it's spread out. It's a bigger team, like we've just said.
Yeah, it's a bigger team, yeah.
So if you make something go...
Oh, yeah.
We have so many procedures that we do that, we try and eliminate every single scenario.
Yeah. And like you say, you've got the headphones on, you've got somebody in your ear. If there's a problem, like Chris has told me before, that they do lab tests on the oil between every session. And they'll be on, Chris, what grease did you use on this? Because there's a trace of it come up. And then they'll have to go and prove how much you used and what grease you used, so they can justify it to the lab who's tested the oil.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Different leak. It ain't us looking at an old thing, giving it, that looks a bit oily.
Tasting it.
But like I said about being a mechanic, the thing is about, you have 1,000 things to remember on a weekend, all right? And if you remember 999, you're the worst person on the planet.
Yeah.
See, that's what I mean. You're mental. I wouldn't want to do it.
But it becomes second nature, doesn't it? When you're doing the bike, you just got that process that you go through, and you eliminate everything
I know.
as best you
Chad
can.
Watts used to do me though on the start line. He used to check the seat belts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you cunt. So then he used to pass me the T-bar and I'd check mine. I knew they were tight. But he just get you. You're like, oh.
That's the same thing. I'm only like that with passports, really. I check about, you're going to go on a flight and you're checking your passport.
Well, it's like riders checking the fuels on 40 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on once, man. What do you need to do?
Check your chokes off.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in where their chokes.
Before fuel injection.
But yeah, it's, there is so many procedures that we do now and there are so many people involved that you try and just eliminate everything. That's why they're so good now. You never really see many cars break down on track.
But what's freaky as well is it's not one lot of stuff going around the world.
Yeah.
If you got one lot of stuff goes to Australia, which is a flyaway, the stuff that's in the trucks that's going to one of the European races is different stuff again. So that whole pit setup is multiplied.
Yeah. We
ridiculous.
we have 6 sets of equipment. What you see on TV.
6 sets of that that's going around the world. So imagine sorting out the logistics on that. We used to think we were bad trying to book on a car ferry for a weekend to pass.
Yeah.
And it's even harder now when we go around Europe with carnets.
Yeah,
when you've got,
that's an issue.
I think we run something like 20 trucks, I think, in total.
It does sound more complicated than us road tripping across America.
It is a little bit kid.
We couldn't even get across one interstate with him driving off and leaving us all in a petrol station.
Happy days, though. Kid, happy days.
But that's good. Yeah, I enjoyed all them trips to America and doing all that stuff back with the bikes and them days. It's good.
It's good times.
Still go there now.
It set you up for what you do now. But what you do now is so uber professional. It's kind of such a different world, and I'm enamored with it. I'm like starstruck with it because it's hard not to be,
Yeah,
and it's like
it does take a little bit of getting used to.
Here's one for you, if you can think, which I'm sure you can because you have to. It's part of your job. What is, out of all the things you've done, motocross and obviously Formula One, can you pinpoint one moment where the most pressurized moment? Where you were just thinking, God, I'm swimming here, I'm out of my depth. Is there anything happened where you think it was so bad you think you weren't going to come out the other side of it, or you was maybe going to get fired?
Well, it could be a few of those. I remember back working with Huck, and we were in Germany at the time, and he had problems with his first bike, hated it, chucked that on the side, went and got a brand new one. Went out for quali, cam chain snapped, went through the bottom of the engine, didn't have another bike that he was happy with.
This is when 4-strokes were unreliable.
Yeah, exactly. And I was in the awning all night, building another engine out of bits, borrowing bits off of other people. Didn't have a cam chain, had to go and scrounge one off KTM. I think it was a Demario, at the time.
Yes.
Had to go and borrow one off of him. It was a second-hand one. Didn't know what it was going to be like. Didn't know what it had done. No. But yeah, managed to get it all back together, ready for the race, and we did all right.
But them days, you usually get a result. I don't know what it is about them.
Yeah,
you tend to get a result because it's the normal stresses are not there. You're so wrapped up in trying to dig yourself out of a hole.
Exactly.
It's like if you ever seen a guy have his bike go wrong on the start gate, and they'll hold the gate, and he comes running from the back, gets on the bike, always gets the old shot.
Yeah, absolutely, because the adrenaline's buzzing.
Exactly.
That's happened to me enough times. Yeah, sure.
That usually happens.
Yeah.
My biggest, you want to know my biggest screw up?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I do.
I've had a few in me time.
I was going to say, are we talking just mechanics? No, are we talking life
decisions? I've got plenty of them bad ones.
Yeah.
No, Okeechobee, GNCC with Paul, first year on Team Green Kawasaki. And we went out, it was sandy, and we had the big tank on the KX250, that one there, actually. And we'd go out and do like a test. And I'm like, mate, if you're doing fuel test, you've got to be on it. Don't fucking cruise. You've got to be on it. So we'd go out and we could do an hour. And he'd run out. So I'm like, all right, so we'll stop you at 45. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so the first lap was quite short. So then I'm like, oh, yeah, I reckon you'll do 3 laps. Second lap come around, a bit longer. And I'm like, I'll be fine. He's going to be like 47. I've worked out to do 47 minutes. He ran out. I'm like, how did you run out in 47 fucking minutes? It's 47 minutes when we're supposed to do an hour. And I remember the TV were there, and I'm stood there with this big jug, like you dump him in, waiting for him, and he ain't coming round. and he ain't coming round. And the TV are giving it, this fuel should be out there. And I'm like, all right, mate, calm down.
How did that conversation go afterwards?
And Paul was good as the first 10 minutes. He was a bit fiery, but another time as well, it was all the Kawasaki guys were there. Don't know which race it was, but they did our pit actually under the Kawasaki semi. So they'd come off, and with them GNCCs, because the first lap was like quite short normally, you didn't know how long a lap was till the second lap. Because it's a 3-hour race, you didn't know if you were going to do a 5 or a 6 lap race. So you didn't know if you're stopping him once, stopping him twice. So we made the mistake, one of the races, of stopping him on the 5th lap. Well, that gives him like 30-second deficit to make up on the last lap. He's like, so if we have that again, kid, pull me in on the 2nd and the 3rd lap and let me go. Okay. So he pulled in, did a test, did a fuel stop. I filled him up, new goggles and everything. Off he went. And all the Japanese were there, you know, with the caps on, all proud as punch. And then I'm like, okay, we've got to stop him again. So I've got somebody to go up to the timing things. Can you come in again? And his eyes have gone. And he thinks I haven't done something right. He thinks I haven't put enough fuel in. So he's come in, shouting and screaming like a bitch. Shouting, what the fuck, you? And I'm yelling at him, only here to me, and I'm full on, bawling in his earwells, like calling him all the names under the sun. And like, off he went. And I'm like, it was bad language. And I turned around and I looked, and all these and all the Japanese were like horrified. And Reed Nordine, who was my team manager, had to take them all to one side and said, look, they're English. That's the way they talk to each other.
True.
And like after the race, they were all expecting me to be bawling. We're like, oh, well done, mate. Yeah. And that was it. And they were like, oh, God, how can you talk to each other like that? And I'm like, that's the way he understands.
We don't get that now in the cars. They just go and talk to their engineer, or they just disappear.
So what your line of communication to the driver? Do you actually?
No, we don't. No.
That's what I'm saying.
No. There's.
I mean, you obviously would say hello and all that.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
On a race weekend,
yeah,
you have
they
no
have an
direct
engineer that speaks to them all the time. Yeah. So that
even in between sessions or anything like that.
Yeah, they go off for their debriefs.
But they're like full on rock stars now, aren't they?
Yeah.
These Formula One.
Yeah,
guys.
it's.
I mean, the amount of media they have to do is insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of media stuff they do between building up to the races, everything else, you know.
No having to put your arm around like you're a motocross rider, then say, "Oh, you know, we're going again next week." And
that's the engineer's job to do that. But yeah, you know, we just do our own thing. We all have our things to do between sessions and everything else. We do our pit stop practice.
Do you very much keep in your own sort of like groups throughout a weekend?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that? What, like once the racing's, you know. Almost like when when you go to a wedding or something and you're sat on a table and you want to sit with your mate.
Well, we went out in Qatar. We went out for a meal, and on the table next to us was all the McLaren guys or Lewis's team and all that. And it was just like, that's just what you do.
Yeah, you chat with the other guys and that. We got 2 car crews, so you know there's enough of us in the garage, and we'll go out and do our own thing. We go out for a meal with somebody, or you know.
But it sounds like you don't really get downtime at the event.
So let's talk. Just remind me. Like, how much time off do you get? Because when you come back in, you haven't got to go back into work.
No, so we do the races and then we fly.
You're just pit crew.
Yeah,
you don't go back to the factory.
No, we don't very often go back to the factory. Only packing stuff between flyaway races and European races, and we're in for the odd day or two, but not a lot. So between events, like we normally fly on a Monday or a Tuesday. We're in on a Wednesday then, prepping the car. Wednesday, Thursday. Practice Friday, quali Saturday, race Sunday.
And that's when they're back-to-back races.
That's it, yeah. And then,
but if you come home, so how many days a year do you get off as opposed to, you know, how many days a year are you away and how many days a year do you get off?
Well, I would say we probably have about time to ourselves. I would say probably about 15 weeks of the year that we actually have to ourselves.
Better than a teacher.
So, yeah, it's a bit like a teacher, really.
But it seems, I wouldn't say I'm a fanatic Formula One fan, but I watch it, I follow it. But it always seems like every year, to me anyway, over the last 10 years or so, that the off season seems to be getting shorter.
Shorter and shorter, yeah, it is, yeah. But they've put in now this year that we have a winter shutdown as well, so the factory is off for like 5 days,
right? So
for a whole week, which makes it easier on them. We have some downtime now, so we're off for a few weeks now. We go back till the middle of January. But yeah, then we're back full on into it then. Build a new car, you know, testing the new car.
You don't test that much though, do you?
No, we don't do a lot of testing. No,
it's all in the wind tunnel, and it's all on
wind
like
tunnel.
the
it's all done
sim
on
testing.
sim testing. Yeah, all from that kind of data.
That's how I do it.
Yeah. What's freaky when you go to the factory and there's all these molds, and they have to make it because the wind tunnel's 50%, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they have to make like a half size of everything to see if it works. Half size, and then they have to make it full size, put it on the car.
Wow.
Oh God, it's insane.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
There's
It's so cool.
1,000 people work in the factory to build 2 cars. From the chassis side, and then we've got another 1,000 people on the engine side.
It's proper.
So,
But what a thing, though, Chris. What a thing.
I mean,
from the beginning,
credit to you to get where you got, kid. Is
it's good.
It's pinnacle. It is credit to you.
We obviously said you highlighted it. It's a young man's game, which it is travelling
To a
as you get
certain
older.
degree, yeah, it gets
and all
old.
that.
But you're lucky because your wife was your dad was a Formula One mechanic.
Yeah, father was Formula One mechanic. Yeah.
So Kate, she
15 years.
handles it. A lot of people wouldn't or couldn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you live in Silverstone.
Yeah.
And your kids go to your kid goes to Silverstone Primary School.
Yeah.
So like you say, there's a lot of families in the same boat.
It's quite close. If we, when we got the race on there, we can walk there, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you said, like Kate said, there's very much a community.
There is, yeah,
in the town or the village,
in the area, yeah.
In the area, because
so
many guys work on the race teams.
I'm away for sort of 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
So it's certainly not easy for them to cope with it, but we try and get away. A couple of times a year, they come to a couple of races.
So with 15 weeks off in a year, if anybody's looking for a motocross mechanic,
part-time mechanic,
no, you do a bit at home, don't you?
do a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Keep my hand in.
Just keep your eye in. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to.
Have you got bikes that you still you try and you said earlier on that you probably still try to ride?
I try and do one race a year.
So what have you got? What's your weapon of choice currently?
So
don't say a 450 off. We just
125. 125 all the way.
What brand? What year? What
Suzuki.
Model? Of course.
Oh, best brand. Yeah. The man knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you, every mechanic will go for a Suzuki given a chance.
But I'm into my e-bikes now.
You'll be walking out of it. You'll be trying to blag some parts off him in a minute, won't you?
Oh, yeah, got to do that. And
you'll be trying to blag F1 parts. Yeah.
It's not much use to you,
or a ticket.
I can't.
He always tries to blag a ticket.
They're not easy. They're not easy to get. No, I love a bit of F1. I love it. It's just different because if I go to motocross, it's work. It's like I actually go F1 as a fan and I like it.
Yeah,
and
it's
some
nice.
people go,
like I went to Antis over at Kawasaki. Was Husky back then a couple of years ago. It was nice to go there and see that some of the F1 are sort of like rubbed off with how they operate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
very, very professional outfit.
Yes.
It wouldn't. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Motocross is trying to raise its game with the hospitality and stuff that you see at MXGP now, and the trailers where they're working on the bikes inside, all dust free and all that. But of course, it's never going to be.
No, it's a completely different thing, isn't it?
But let's be honest, we're still running around in mud and dust, aren't we? You're never going to get away from that.
No, it's what we love, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of it.
Do you though?
Yeah,
I bet you don't miss. Come on.
Oh no!
Don't tell me like when you're there, everything's immaculate and lovely and all that.
I don't miss the mud
in the pissing rain in January with freezing cold hands.
Definitely don't miss that.
No.
But yeah, I still look at it for all the technical stuff as well. I like to go around the paddock and have a look at the bikes and stuff and see.
It's in your blood, kid. It's in your blood. You can't get rid, can you?
No, you can't.
It's what it is. No. Like I go to the F1 and I'm like flabbergasted. But I can remember I was with you at Silverstone and I was watching one guy work on the brakes and I'm thinking, fuck, I could do that. I reckon I could cable tie that to there.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't
cable tie. You've definitely got.
That's what he was doing. He was cable tying cables for sensors. And I'm like, I can cable tie shit as good as the next man.
I'm awesome at zip tying and cable. Even I could do that. Oh, Chris, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been really interesting. We've still got, obviously, we're going to sign it off there because Wob's got stories to tell that we couldn't tell on this podcast, so we want to listen to them. Again, thanks for coming in, Chris, because as I said, traveling all around the world. I think that gives a real insight into. You can start off in motocross and end up in Formula One.
Yeah, if you wanted
Man's
to.
done the job. Again, massive shout out to Talon, who's getting behind us.
Yeah.
You're still working. We're both still working on getting some other brands in.
Yeah, we've got a few people on the board. I think JSV Pipes are going to be doing something.
Yeah, cool. So keep liking and subscribing. Just keep doing that, getting the numbers up, spreading the word, and we'll keep doing our thing. We're looking forward to the year ahead, as I said, when the season really gets rolling.
So much coming up. It's going to be good.
Yeah, a lot of racing to get through, a lot of people to talk to. If you want to email us, I've got it here in front of us. It's info@torqmoto@gmail.com.
Can you see that?
I can see that. My eyes.
My
I
eyes
had them lasered.
are fucked.
I had them lasered 15 years ago. They're great.
Oh.
Still bang on. Rest of my body's decrepit, but my eyes are pretty good. Yeah, so that's it. And we're obviously on Apple and Spotify. So, yeah. Again, Chris, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for coming in, Chris. Appreciate it.
Let's turn the cameras off and let's find these stories that we couldn't tell on the pod, because I'm genuinely intrigued now. Right, we'll see you all again in a couple of weeks. Thanks, everybody.